Welcome to It's a Beautiful Influence, a podcast about creating you online. I'm Alison.
And I'm Krista. And today we have a very special podcast episode for you. This is our very first interview that we've done. And it was with none other than the fabulous Kevin Kauffman of Group 4610 with eXp Realty. And we are so thankful to him for taking the time out of his very busy schedule to talk to us and to share some really great wisdom. It's called amusing your audience and being yourself, because that's two of the things that he does very well. And he talks a lot about that. So we hope you'll enjoy this episode, and thank you for joining us. Well, we're here today with Kevin Kauffman of Group 4610 with XP Realty, right?
eXp Realty. Close enough. That's pretty good.
I keep wanting to say XP. I don't know why.
For somebody that doesn't sell real estate, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So before we go into the official interview, I want to say how Kevin and I actually met because of Chelsea Pites, I guess, right? But technically got to know each other a little better between working together on a project for a capstone course that I was teaching, and also just through social media, which... Kevin, I love what you do. I have to share this story, and I don't know if Alison knows the story. Shortly after we met, right, you sent me a little written note and a little swag, Group 4610 swag, and so he is a very social media friendly person, but he also does the real handwritten notes. And
I'm just a big believer in. So there's a lot of haters on social media about social media because they don't understand how powerful it really can be.
Right.
And in my viewpoint, and my experience is. Take what you learn on social and also use that to connect in the real world.
Right.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. And I would say a lot of people that learn how to work social media, if they don't take it into the real, I've met a lot of people that call themselves influencers and they're the most awkward people in person.
Oh, totally.
And you're like, oh no. You just do this at home in your bedroom and that's it.
They're kind of like those people that are they're bullies behind a keyboard.
Yes.
And then you see them in person, they're meek and they're quiet and they're never going to say anything confrontational at all.
Yeah.
Totally, yeah. There's no doubt that happens, but yeah, I'm one of those big believers that you are who you are, and you use the physical world to enhance the digital world, and vice versa.
Yeah,
yes.
Love that prescript. Love it.
Yes.
So, Kevin, you obviously have a pretty strong personal brand. You are a business owner. You are a keynote speaker. You speak at real estate events, at least, if not, I don't know if other ones. And then you have a pretty strong presence on Instagram and Facebook.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about kind of your personal brand story, how you got where you are, why you did it.
Yeah, so, it's pretty funny. I think like a lot of people, sort of just realized it one day. So I quite literally got on Facebook. Just because it was cool. I'm an early adopter. I like stuff. I'll go check it out, and if I like it, I'll stay, and if I don't, I won't. And MySpace was dwindling at the time.
Yeah.
And so,
I remember those days.
I really miss my top 8, though.
I know, I do too.
I miss my top 8.
Yes.
So Facebook is really, obviously once they released it past colleges, 2000, for me, I got on, I want to say late 2007 or very early 2008. And so I got on Facebook, and I realized, oh my gosh, people are starting to bring me business. And at the time, I'm still a fairly new realtor. I got licensed in the middle of 2007, which in Arizona was the worst market we had seen in probably ever. And but here I am. I'm getting business from Facebook because I'm just sort of doing what I do anyways in person.
Yes.
And I started to realize it's so powerful. And this is the turning point. I'll never forget it. A good buddy of mine, Mark, and my business partner, Fred, and I, the three of us drove to San Diego one day. We were just kind of going because San Diego is a place where we can get creative and just sort of dream and stuff like that. And he had gone to a talk the night before with Gary Vaynerchuk. So Gary V knows a friend of ours who put together this talk because he was on his book tour for Crush It. And he brought us the book, and he starts telling us about video. And we literally went, I get that, and I can do it. And we started a video blog that day.
Nice.
And I'll never forget.
I've seen some of those videos.
It was some were fairly raw, and we caused a stir in our industry.
Yeah.
But from then on, I just sort of realized my brand was it's just me being who I am, and leveraging some of the tools. Now, fast forward, it's 2019. I've learned a lot more of the psychology behind the technology and how to use things like video and copywriting and all that stuff that sounds exciting but also overwhelming to enhance what you can do very naturally.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
that was a long-winded
That's a
answer.
really good way to put it, though. Yeah, it's just enhancing what you know how to do naturally, because that's what we try to emphasize with the personal brand is you're not supposed to be something other than yourself. We're not trying to make you follow this format. We're trying to say be yourself, and through that, you'll find your niche.
There's nothing to it, in my personal opinion, as a consumer, there's nothing more off-putting than thinking I'm getting one thing and then I get another.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the moment I learned that, which was 2009. We're starting the blog. So we start doing the blog, and it's worth noting that was for other realtors, right? So we were already teaching. One of the number one ways I believe to grow your business and to make connections is to just start giving back to whoever your community is. So we started teaching right away because we had a skill that was rare at the time. And then we went, there's a lot of power in this. I realized my potential customers were watching those videos too.
Right.
And I thought, oh no. These are like, I'm just like joking around and stuff with realtors and talking, using lingo that they don't know and industry jargon. So I called my buddy, his name is Drew, and he was an internet marketer back in the day. He totally understood how it worked. When we told him the idea of our video blog, he saw it right away, went, yes, I know how to do that. Let's get it done. But then we went, could we do this for consumers? And so he said, oh yeah, absolutely. You just got to change your message. Like, what do you want the consumer to know? And so we started talking. I said, hey, I have a question. Now, if you can see me, I'm wearing a t-shirt.
Right.
I wear a black t-shirt every single day. I don't vary from that. I wear jeans or shorts, depending on the weather.
Yeah.
And I wear flip-flops.
Right.
And that's just who I am.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, should I dress up for these videos? And he said, no, absolutely not. You got to remember, this is December 2009 that he said this to me. He said, if someone's going to disqualify you because of the way you dress, then let them do that on their own time online before you ever have to spend any time with them in person.
Right.
That's good.
And I went,
because real estate is so personal.
yes.
And so if they can't work with you how you are.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just, if you can't handle flip-flops, like, I just can't help you.
Right.
I can't work with you.
Yeah.
You can't look past that. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay, and I'll go find someone else.
Yep.
And you should too.
No, it's true.
Okay, so kind of along those lines, one of the things I really enjoy about your content, not just that you're so real and relatable, but you definitely you have a sense of humor, and you definitely you're not afraid to show like quirky stuff like your red light therapy, what I forget what that's called, or like things like that. So can you talk a little bit about that and how that's helped you grow your personal brand and even grow your business?
Yeah, you know what's funny is I've found people, the thing that'll stick with people is that weird, like that kind of weird stuff that most people don't share. So a couple years ago, and I still to this day get people asking me about the driverless Ubers.
Yes.
And so my business, I love technology, and I just wanted to ride in an autonomous car. That's it. That's all I wanted. And so here in Tempe is where they had the fleet of 11
I remember,
cars.
yeah.
And so one day I tried, my business partner went out, and we kept trying to get Ubers to pick us up, and it was always with the driver, so we'd cancel the ride. We spent like $60. So we decided to go live on Facebook, and now people are literally they're engaged in what's in our pursuit of an Uberless driver, and they're starting to send us money through Facebook so we can pay the $5 charge. So we end up going through like $100-$200 of that. So people still remember that. Like you mentioned the red light. I'm into really quirky things like red and near infrared light therapy, vibration, all sorts of kind of new agey, if you will, stuff from a health perspective that is not talked about in the mainstream. And so I will use that. I just put it because that's just who I am.
Right.
Like, I'm a weirdo that likes to try weird stuff. Like I fully admit it.
Yeah.
And again, kind of going back to like the flip-flop thing, if you can't handle that, that's okay. By the way, I sold a couple thousand houses in the last few years.
Right.
So I know what I'm talking about if we need to talk about real estate or whatever the case is. But this is who I am.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people struggle with is the goofy side of themselves, because you'll see people that are so funny in person and you're like, why don't you post that? Why don't you be that? Because I think that's kind of like you said, those weird, quirky things. That's what is the most relatable.
It is. Most people are so afraid of video, in my experience. And video is so powerful. I mean, there's like a psychological impact from video that you can't get even from voice. Voice is amazing because it goes so wide. But video is amazing because it goes so deep. And I know so many people that are the most personable people that you can't help but to want to be around, that they will totally change who they are and get all in a video. And I'm like, dude, just be you. It doesn't have to be perfect. And here's my personal belief is if we put out too much perfect touched up video content, then what we're doing is we're telling everybody else that they have to be perfect too. So if you will let yourself trip over yourself, that video blog that we originally started, we did 1,000 episodes of it before we stopped.
Crazy.
One time, and I mean one time, did we ever do a second take, and it's because I said something so inappropriate that I didn't even mean to say, because I was thinking about one thing, I said something else.
Yeah.
Like, I just had one of those moments where I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. It was probably 2 years in. And so we stopped. That's the only time out of 1,000+ episodes that we ever reshot anything. It's just who we are. Like, just be who you are, be real.
Well, it's funny. It just made me think of, so the other night I was at a dinner where these an organization I volunteer with. Sorry, need more coffee. And one of the people that works for the organization, I've only met her once now, and she was talking to me, and she started following me. She manages the social media for the organization, so she has watched a ton of my Instagram stories, and I do a lot of video. And she was like, Krista, she's like, I feel like I know you. She's like, and you're so real. Like, you are how you are in real life. And I was like, yes! So that's the biggest compliment I could ever get.
Here's the thing that people don't realize, and the reason why is because you do put so much video up, that literally the impact of 1 minute of video is the same impact as 1.8 million words written.
It's crazy.
Think about that. So we know how powerful blogs are, right?
Yep.
And just written content is. We know how powerful putting information out is. But a minute of video, when they can see your face and they can see who you are, and you really start to understand who somebody is, 1 minute equals 1.8 million written words of impact, like psychologically. And the other thing that people do not realize, I'm sure you do, is that the brain does not know the difference between a phone, a camera, a movie screen, a tablet, a computer, a TV. It cannot. There's
a face talking to you is a face talking to you.
Yes, and psychologically, there's a connection made where you can essentially become a celebrity like that to a certain short number of people. So when I'm talking and teaching other realtors about, especially on our own team, how to use video or why to use video, I'll talk about the fact, like, you can't be Pepsi, right? No, none of us have the marketing budget of Pepsi.
Right.
They probably spend a couple $1 million a month. They literally probably, I don't know what their budget is, but I'm guessing it's a couple million a month.
Coke spent $1 billion in 2017 on marketing and advertising.
Okay, so they're spending almost $100 million a month, Coke, right? None of us are gonna reach that. However, because they're on the billboards, the radio, the TV, internet, everywhere you go, and you're thinking about their jingle or whatever the case is. But what we can do is whatever our business is, we can be like Coke to our customers, whether that's in a demographic or a geographic location. We can be that to a small number of people. And I'm talking about for $2 a day, $5 a day max.
Right.
If you want to actually even get into the stuff that costs money.
Right.
I'm talking about $5 a day.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about thousands of dollars a day. I'm talking about $5.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
if you don't have $35 a week to invest in your business,
Yeah.
it might need a different model.
Right.
Or we might need to talk about expenses. So.
Yeah. No, so we kind of went more like, educational, which is awesome. But before we move on from your personal branding story, if it's appropriate, I was telling Alison she had to hear the story about your emoji usage. Can we talk about that?
Totally. So one of the cool things at EXP is it's a virtual. We have what we call a virtual campus. It's literally a virtual world where our real estate brokerage is housed.
Nice.
In my avatar, I still call him my emoji, is the same as my emoji. I only use black emojis.
Right.
If there's a black emoji available, like they got like the 6 different skin tones, I only use black. and it's just simple. If I have the option, I pick black. And if I don't, then I have to use whatever the default is.
Right.
It's just something I picked up.
Just
It's probably a long, inappropriate story.
Right.
From my childhood, somebody said something very inappropriate to me. And that I personally took offense to, and ever since I just was kind of like whatever. Okay. And so it's probably my rebellion. Like, I'm rebellious.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
right. So every once in a while, I definitely will, stand up to the man, if you will.
Yeah. So, no, I just thought that was a funny little thing. And that's another one of your little things. Like, that's something I've always remembered about you since, I think, the first time I ever saw, like, a reaction or a message from you on social media or text or whatever. So
it's always the first text that get people. They're like, what? They're like, you've been in the sun too much? I'm like, I always love to see the first reaction.
Yeah. So, going back to the educational part of things, though, how would you, if somebody says, what is personal branding? What would you say?
I think it's just simply being who you are and turning up the juice on that a little bit. Right. At its simplest form. I don't agree with everything Gary Vaynerchuk teaches or talks about, but I do agree with a lot of us, at least a good core portion of what he says. And I bet you if I went back and reread Crush It today, I bet you the principles in that book are still very much alive and true. And it's the number one book I always recommend to people when they want to know, because the question is, how do I do social media?
Right.
Like, you don't do social media. You be yourself and you allow that to be on social media.
Yes. Yeah,
I love
that.
That's all that it is, really.
Yeah.
And so there's different things you could do. Don't get me wrong. We can talk about spending money and tweaking things to really take your brand, your personal brand, to the next level.
Right.
There's a lot of that. But that's the 20% extra.
Right.
The first 80%, which is really what matters most, can be done like that, and it's easy. Yeah. And anybody can do it pretty much at any time.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And I think you've already really made this clear, but, if you had to concisely say, why is personal branding important?
I think from a business owner's perspective, because I view myself as so number one, I just am who I am. Like at home, at work, it's the same. Right. I believe that from a business perspective, we've got to stand out. The world is louder than ever before. There's more competition than ever before. It's also, in my opinion, better than ever before. Mm-hmm. And we have to find new ways to compete, right? If we're going to have a business, we have to find ways to compete. And so for me, it's a form of making sure my business stands out, and no matter what that looks like.
Yeah.
So.
And then you've already touched a little bit on how personal branding has helped, or affected your life, or having that social media influence. Like, would you attribute your personal brand to obviously getting sales?
Yeah.
Growing your business?
Yep.
How about getting speaking gigs?
Oh, no, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So, what's funny, I got speaking gigs first. So we used in 2008, we started teaching classes locally in different real estate brokerages twice a month minimum. Right. And they grew from 2 attendees to 100 attendees every other week.
Wow.
And so then we went, I'm too tired to do this. So we started that blog.
Yeah.
And we started doing the blog 5 days a week. And then that started leading to high paying speaking opportunities.
Okay.
And which then led to different product sales. And most importantly, it just opened up the doors for different relationships that have impacted my business in such a way that you could never imagine.
Right. And and I know you and Fred started the short sale era, right?
Yeah.
That was how you really started.
My third transaction ever in real estate was a short sale.
Right.
It was actually a listing of Fred's. We weren't even business partners then. We were just friends. And I always say he suckered me into helping him because I had a real estate license and I had nothing better to do. Mm-hmm. And so, we started in the down market. And when most people were complaining about how the market was, to me, it was just the market.
Right. That's just, you work with what you have.
Yep.
Yeah. And so do you feel like the transition, did social media and help you, as you rebranded and transitioned into being, you guys have over 100 agents, right?
Yes.
And you're in 7 states. The business obviously has exploded.
So it definitely did. I think there was a point in time, so it was, for us, kind of funny because the market shifted back to what most people would consider a good market. And for us, that was the shift. That was the hard part. Now, we still performed at a super high level. I think in our lowest year ever, we sold 130 houses. But when you sold 220 the year before, it's different. And I would say we definitely turned off a lot of distractions at that point. We stopped the video blog for a while. We just stopped doing videos. At the time, you couldn't really do Facebook. You could not do Facebook Live. There's no such thing. And we went to work on the basics of our company. In the real estate world. However, we never got off social media, and that never stopped being a source for us, just because it was very natural, and we just post and talk about our life and talk about our business. Mm-hmm. And so it just never went away. And then over the last 12 months, but really the last couple of years, it's just become a bigger and bigger piece of what we do.
Awesome. And I know that you stress that with all your agents as well, right? You really...
Yeah, I'm not your average real estate agent from the standpoint of, I don't go out, if you wanted to sell your house tomorrow, I'm not coming to your house to help you sell it. So what I am doing, though, is I'm making sure Stephanie, who comes to your house, and you're going to be, you did
I
meet
know,
Stephanie, right?
I was telling her she's one of the top agents every year. How many years running?
She's been with us for it'll be 6 years in April. I've known her for 20. And she sold 50 houses last year. That's pretty average year for her.
Yeah.
So she literally handles all my family's transactions. At this point, what I do is teach and train and mentor the agents that we have, both in our company and just kind of in the industry, as well as make sure they have the tools and kind of run the business, right?
Right.
And so, I'm a big believer in my job as the owner of Group 4610, or co-owner in this case, is to just provide the tools and the platform for our agents to succeed on.
Right.
And not everyone's going to do it the same. Like, not everyone's going to use social.
Right.
And that's okay.
That's
you
fine.
don't have to. I think it's a very easy tool to do. I can show them the blueprint for how to you do it in real estate, and it's very inexpensive, right? But I'm not going to ever tell them you have to do cold calls, or you have to do social, or you have to door knock, or you have to do open houses. All of those things work to get business. It depends on who you are as a person, what you're willing to do every day, and then what your goals are.
Yeah.
So.
But it's you include that in the toolkit that you share with them.
We talk about it constantly.
And if somebody wants to use that as a main way to promote themselves and their business,
absolutely, we make it easy for them to do that, and then teach them how to kind of like. So we'll take care of like sort of that first level for them, whether it be like graphics or ideas of things to post, and then we teach them how to do kind of that second level of like, we've really spent a lot of time recently on video, the power of video, how and why, when to use it, and then the power of building a community online with like a Facebook group.
Yes, love that. I know the Facebook groups have been a huge source of just
they are such
connections
a gold
and,
mine. Yeah, they are literally a gold mine.
Yeah, yep.
So
I think I might know your answer, but if you could only give one piece of advice to somebody listening about personal branding or about getting influence online, what would you say?
One piece of advice: get over yourself. Probably just like don't be scared.
Right?
Like the only way to get really good in front of a camera or a camera period is to just keep doing it.
Yep.
And just post the crap. Like if it sucks, who cares? Post it. Just post it, because you want people to understand who you are all the time.
Yeah.
And so I'm just a big fan of like getting over yourself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would say that'd be my first piece.
And we stress that a lot, is that the documenting process is so important, of just putting it out there and saying like, okay, this is what I'm doing. And through that, I feel like you learn what you love to document and what you love to talk about. Kind of like those quirky things you were saying, that's part of what makes it fun.
Yeah. It's like recently, so my niece, because she knew I wanted it, she bought me a neck hammock.
Yes, I saw that. I did.
And I'm like, it's so amazing. So the last 2 nights in a row.
I actually was like, I want to know what that is.
Posting. It's amazing.
Yes.
So it's literally a little hammock for your neck that like hangs from the doorway. Anyways, how's that for a free plug for them? But yeah, like just be who you are and get it done. And people are just so afraid of starting, and you're not going to ever know all 10 steps. I didn't understand the way I'd use a video today.
Right.
I really didn't understand that even a year ago. Mm-hmm. But now I didn't understand advertising on Facebook the way I do today. I didn't understand it like that even a year ago.
Right.
I didn't understand copywriting and how to write words to persuade people into what they want, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't understand any of that stuff. And it's kind of like a mentor of mine once said to me, success is sequential, not simultaneous.
Yeah.
Meaning you're not going to do everything all at once, so don't. Do something, get good at it, add the next thing.
Yeah.
Add the next thing, add the next thing. And what happens is if you do that consistently over a long period of time, like a year, 2 years, a year's not even a long time.
Right.
Especially in business. 5 years,
Yep.
you're going to look up and you've got a behemoth.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it is funny you said, because a year ago this time we were working with you guys, on that capstone class, and so I've loved watching and like the changes in the growth and the podcast and the everything.
Totally.
Like you guys are just definitely you're steamrolling ahead. So.
It's funny. Like you mentioned the podcast, and I've always wanted a podcast, but quite frankly, it was never high enough on our priority list for it to be the next thing that we could accomplish. Mm-hmm. And then one day it was.
Yeah.
Because we had the other stuff sort of like dialed.
Yeah.
And in a process and in a routine.
Yep.
So before you got here today, my business partner and I, Fred, were up here and we probably filmed like 8 videos.
Nice. Yep. Batch content.
It's just, we just batched it.
That's what
and it's funny, they're all different channels, right? Yep. One is for the brokerage that we work with. One is just like free tips for realtors. Another one is for our client base. Mm-hmm. And so we have 2 days a week set aside for at least 1 to 2 hours where we're going to go create content. And don't get me wrong, we delete that. We don't actually do that all for all of those times, but most times we have enough stuff that we want to get out that we start doing it. And so there you go.
Yeah.
We keep a running list of all the different topics we want to talk about.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Same.
we really like to just put each other on the spot too.
Yeah.
So we'll actually
Yeah.
just, a lot of times we'll just hit go.
Yep.
And someone will say something to start the conversation, and then
Nice.
we'll take it from there. But that comes with 10 years now.
Yeah, you
of
guys have worked together
creating
a long
video
time.
Right.
and content.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Love it.
yeah.
Well, we're so excited that you were our first official guest and interview.
I'm honored to be.
Thank you for taking the time to do it. And if we will put yours and Kevin's podcast in the show notes, people can find that name because it's
Cool.
Kevin and Fred
Kevin and
Next
Fred.
Level or something. What is it?
It's Kevin and Fred.
Kevin and Fred. Okay.
Next level.
But yeah, so I'll put that in
podcast.
the
I'll
show
get you the link.
notes
Yep.
and make sure that people can find you. We'll put your Instagram handle. You guys want to follow Kevin? He's fun to watch.
I definitely post
I
some
missed
good
the
stuff.
what was it? The car in the car with Kevin or something. What was your little? You
Oh,
started
yeah.
to try that.
Conversations in the car
There
with
we
Kevin.
go. Yes.
So it's because, Instagram is funny. And I enjoy Instagram. And then I got like Instagram fatigue, to
Yeah.
be totally straight with you.
Yeah.
So I'm way more, and obviously they know more than I do. I definitely love the stories way more than I do like posting on Instagram
Yeah.
every day.
Yes.
However, I still look at it, but it's definitely not my number one thing that I go to like
Yeah.
it was for a period of time. But so I've tried different things in the car. Like,
Yeah.
so what you didn't know is I also had a certain number of like direct messages on Instagram I would send every day to
Yep,
friends.
I believe
and
it.
when I say friends, I mean, they're other realtors, they're personal friends that I've known maybe for my whole life or a short period of time, or they are just, sphere of influence,
Yep.
whoever, right? I might probably Instagram message
Yeah.
both of you at
Yep.
one point, because to me, it's just like another form of text. Like, it's the way I use
Absolutely.
my Facebook
Yeah.
Messenger
Yep.
too.
Yep.
And so I like videos, and I was a little fatigued on
Yeah.
Instagram, so I stopped doing
Yeah.
the videos in the car, but I
Bring
did
it back.
like doing that. So,
Anyway, yeah. So definitely follow Kevin. And are you active on Facebook right now? I haven't seen.
oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm
So it's funny because I got so into Instagram, I stopped Facebook.
Yeah.
So, well, I stopped my personal Facebook. I have
Yeah.
like a brand page going.
Right.
And we haven't let up on that at all. Like
Yeah.
we've added at least a video a week of content for
Awesome.
a year plus, and we've got years on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, personal page, and a brand page. So I'll shoot you all the links. To
Yeah,
that.
we'll share
So-
all those links so you guys can find them because you definitely want to follow Kevin. And if you need a realtor, Group 4610
We'd love to help, yes.
with EXP Realty has awesome agents. I've met several of them, and you guys have great agents.
We
so.
definitely got you covered there.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I super appreciate it.
And that's it for today's episode, our very first interview. We think it went pretty well. Let us know your thoughts. Leave a comment or a review, and be sure to shoot us a DM or leave a comment on our social media so you can tell us what you learned. We'd love to hear, and share this out as much as possible so other people can learn from Kevin as well. You can look in the show notes for all of the places to find Kevin and his partner Fred and Group 4610. And as always, we would love to connect with you on social media if we are not already connected. Creating the letter U online on Instagram and Facebook, and then Alison K. Furno or Krista Fabric on Instagram and Facebook. We hope you will join us for our next episode. Have a great day.